Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. This is Nathan Daly. I'm your law enforcement translator. You guys, I'm here to provide insight on difficult topics. You guys, listen, this particular video, we're going to break down a viral altercation that occurred in Kansas City. But before we get into that, you guys, for those who are familiar with it, before we jump into this video, please hit the like button. Please share this content, subscribe. And if you see value in this channel, please join as a member. You guys, I'd love to have your support on this journey of truth. And facts over feelings is what we do over here, you guys. Now listen, for those who are familiar about this incident happened in Kansas City involving a, off-duty firefighter who got into a physical altercation with another citizen. And this happened at the gas station. For those who are not familiar, this video went completely viral. Someone sent this to me via email, and I had a chance to look at it, you guys, and I'm completely torn. I'm not gonna lie. Why? Because there's so much foolishness that takes place within this altercation, and we only know just a small snippet that came from the cell phone recording. There's also surveillance from the actual gas station security footage, but that's not available to us at the moment. I'm really curious to see how this entire thing unfolded in order to get a better, well-rounded view of who may be at fault, who was the primary aggressor. But all we have right now, you guys, is the statements that were provided by the news media. That they actually looked at some of the court documents and were able to give us at least some evidence to support why things turned out the way that it did. Now, I'm going to play the video, you guys. It is a physical altercation. You do not see the shooting, but I will still say graphic video for those who do not enjoy watching these. So let's look at the video, and then I'm gonna give you my perspective afterwards.
Cell phone video shows the end of what one witness says was a 10-minute confrontation. A witness says 23-year-old Javon Taylor insulted a female cashier. Then 41-year-old off-duty firefighter Anthony Santee stood up for her.
Get out! My kid's in this car!
Police say Taylor retrieved a gun from his car. The fight ends outside. Santee is on top of Taylor. A woman who came with Taylor fires one shot and runs.
And the decision is a very hard one because...
All right, so listen, I know that went by quick. You guys, according to the witness, they said this happened about for 10 minutes long. This altercation happened 10 minutes long. And again, there's also surveillance footage from the gas station. And then there's also the cell phone footage. I don't know how much they released, but I'm gonna play the cell phone footage back again, you guys. I'm gonna mute it, and we're gonna kind of just slow it down, and I'm gonna pause one of the most key important pieces of this altercation, you guys, and then we'll kind of break it down from there. Because there's one thing that I wanna show everybody as this video plays. I'm gonna go ahead and slow it down to, let's see, still slow. Now, let me tell you who all the characters are in this incident. So you see the young lady here in the red pants. That is Javon Taylor's girlfriend. I believe girlfriend or possible wife, I'm not sure. Javon Taylor is on the ground. He's the black male. He's 23 years old. His back is against the asphalt. Currently right in this video. And then the man on top of him is the white male. He is the off-duty firefighter. His name is Anthony Santee. All right, so this is where we are. This is where the recording picks up that we actually have, that they've released so far. Let's go ahead and break this down because I'm really curious to get you guys' thoughts. Where did the gun come from? All right, so let's break it down based off of what the court documents stated. All right, so before we get in here, let's talk about the court documents. They stated that Javon was inside the gas station looking to purchase some cigars, right? Well, what happened? The store clerk basically stated, hey, we don't have those cigars. We don't sell that brand. Allegedly, according to the witnesses, Javon got irate with the store clerk and started using profanity against her, started insulting her. Well, Santee was inside or walking in the gas station when he heard Javon and the store clerk having this verbal altercation, right? Verbal dispute that they're going back and forth. The clerk asked Javon to leave. He refused to leave in that moment, according to the documents, right? Santi then stepped in and said, sir, you need to leave, right? You need to get up out of here. I don't know how he worded it, right? Obviously. But according to the witnesses, they stated that Santi also told him to leave. And those two men, now Santi and Javon, got into a verbal altercation, right? They're going back and forth. And then the altercation led outside the gas station where, now here's where it gets tricky, because I've been reading two different things. One instant, they're saying that Javon went to the car and got his gun and then came back, and then they got back into an altercation and they were fighting over the gun, right? That's one thing. The second version that I'm reading about, and I haven't been able to confirm, is that they both got into a verbal altercation inside the gas station. It spilled over outside the gas station, and then they were wrestling over a gun. So the thing about this thing that I'm not completely 100% sure of is when the gun came into play, right? When did the gun come into play? That's very, very, very important, right? Regardless, we know that he either had it on him or he went to the car and get it. According to one of the witnesses from what I read, he went to the car to get the gun, and then somehow they came back again, right? There was another altercation, I guess, again, and then this point they're fighting over the gun. Unfortunately, I think the best way to actually see how this unfolded would be to have the surveillance camera, because then we could see what actually transpired. Why is that important, right? Because, and we'll get into the details, but the whole idea is, were they in a verbal altercation, then he left and got a gun and then came back? Or were they in a verbal altercation, he left, got the gun, and then Santi came and approached him by the car, and that's how it started again? So depending on how all those things play out, you guys, it absolutely matters and can be the difference between someone catching a murder charge. So now here we are, right? They're fighting over the gun. In this video where we're going to pick up, you guys, the video, the only footage that we have, here's what's crazy. Javon is holding the gun while on his back. You guys, that is a crucial piece of evidence. When this recording somehow, somewhere at some point in time, we don't know if Javon drew the weapon, if the weapon was holstered, and they're fighting. Like, we don't know any of this, right? All we see in this moment is Javon's on his back, but Javon still has the gun in his hand. And what do you see in this picture right here, this still shot? The girlfriend grabs the gun out of Javon's hands in this moment, you guys. So there is so much information that's actually missing from this video, I would say, just from this case, from our point of view. And I don't know how to actually call it, because of everything prior to this is so crucial. It can go a lot of different ways when it comes to investigating. But I will tell you the outcome of this, as far as the girlfriend shooting Santi, you guys, she was arrested. She was on hold for 24 hours. They released her. And then from my understanding, the state prosecutor decided not to charge her with anything. All right. They basically stated that this is self-defense. And I'm explaining to you why this is self-defense. And I kind of agree and I kind of don't. And I'm explaining to you why I kind of agree and kind of don't agree with it. And I think the reason why I'm unsure is simply because I have not seen everything else prior to. Not only that, they have. And so for them to come to the conclusion that this is self-defense, you guys, I have no arguments there, right? So they deemed it self-defense and they seen all the evidence. I'm going to tell you what my reservations are. And I'm going to tell you why I have those reservations after we break down this video in reference to the self-defense claim. So here we are. For those who missed it, you may not have saw this part, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. She is pulling the gun out of his hand. The girlfriend is. All right. And there she has it. There she has it. So at this point, you know, Javon and then Santi has Javon pinned down to the ground, right? Obviously, he's definitely overpowering him. Santi is 40 years old. Javon's 23. And as you can tell by size and muscle, he's definitely besting Javon. Now, we don't see any attacks per se, no strikes. You do see him kind of forcing his head down on the concrete. One could assume that he's actually hitting his head against the concrete. But at this point, you don't really see any strikes. There's no physical strikes. In this moment right here, he's addressing the girlfriend. I don't know what they're saying, but in the video, you hear the girlfriend saying, "Get off of him, get off of him. My kids are in the car," right? So she does make a point to say, "Hey, my kids are in the car." So this is a woman now, his girlfriend / wife, possibly, we don't know. She's seeing him being assaulted. He's pinned down. He had his gun out. And what they are saying, what the court is saying, is that she did not know anything about the altercation. And so she was in the vehicle during this entire time since the incident started in the gas station until it spilled outside the gas station. They're saying that she wasn't aware, and I'm pretty sure the surveillance cameras can corroborate that statement, right? So here we are again. He has him pinned down. Javon can't get free. It doesn't look that bad up until this part right here. As you start seeing him going to apply some form of a chokehold, it looks like. And again, from the outside in that moment, obviously the emotions are running high. Everybody's adrenaline is up. No one can really see or probably think clearly, but it's clear. And she sees it. The girlfriend sees it. She's telling him to stop. She's telling him to get off. But what is Santi probably thinking in this moment? Hey, this guy had a gun. He pulled a gun on me. We don't know to what extent or how. I'm really curious to see what that actual video looks like. But in this moment, the girlfriend's like, she's begging and she's pleading, "Get off of him, get off of him." And then he begins to apply the choke. As you can see, Javon's face right here, that the choke looks like it has been properly applied. And it looks like he's choking him out. And I'm gonna tell you what symbolized that to me, that he was definitely getting the best of him. You see the girlfriend is hitting Santi several times, but watch this right here. Is it this the part? I want to say it looked like Javon started to tap out. As you can see, he has a good choke. Now, Santi, I don't know. He sees the girl with the gun. What do you do in a situation like this, right? There's a 50-50 chance the person with the gun is probably going to shoot you if you create a situation where the person's life is in danger, in my personal opinion. At the same time, if he gets up and lets him go, there's a good chance that there's a possibility Javon can take the gun from the girlfriend and shoot him anyways. This is a very, very, very horrible situation to be in, you guys. I don't know what the right answer is. Either way, regardless, this is a very dangerous altercation, period. I think they probably, let me see, they're gonna show it. It may have been on the other video. They probably stopped it from here. But he has him choked. I want to say at some point in time over here, he starts tapping. And that's it. He starts tapping. I think at that point, he probably couldn't breathe. Why is that relevant? Why is that important, you guys? It's extremely important because, listen, the girlfriend did not pull the trigger at all during this time, right? What I witnessed in that is here he is now. So he's like, listen, all right, bro, you got me. He's tapping out. He's tapping out. What is Santi probably thinking? Hey, you pulled a gun, possibly, we don't know, but you had a gun. Maybe he might be thinking that, hey, he tried to kill me. So maybe he thinks he's justified in this moment. I don't know. But I do know that the moment he started feeling that and he started slapping his hand, that's universal sign. Everybody knows that. You start tapping out, right? When that airway gets cut off, the girlfriend had seen this. And what does she do? What does she do, you guys? A few seconds later, she fires one shot. It hits Santi in the back. Hits him in the back. It hits him in the back, and that shot kills him. After the incident, they get up, they get in the car, and they drive off. They leave him there. He dies. Right? He dies. What happened? The girl who shot him, the mother was like, oh, what? The mother brings her back to the incident location and turns her over to the police, right? The police have her for over a 24-hour hold, and they eventually release her upon further investigation. That's something that they do if they don't want to charge yet. They're looking at everything. They sent it over to the prosecutor. The prosecutor said, hey, we looked at everything. This is self-defense. Why did they determine that this was self-defense, you guys? Because based on their analysis and investigation, they believe that there's no way she would have known how the fight started, why the fight started, and who was the primary aggressor, whether the boyfriend or was it Santi. What does she know? She just sees, I'm assuming the way they looked at it is, she got out the car and sees her boyfriend in distress. He has his gun out. She takes the gun. She asked the man several times to let him go. And then, of course, she's witnessing him probably gasping, can't breathe, struggling. Her kids are in the car. What does she do? She fires, you guys. The law supports that. The law absolutely supports that. I think for me personally, the question is, how do you prove? How do you prove she didn't have a clue, right? If he went back and got the gun and then went into the affray, then there's no way I would allow her to get away with that excuse. If he had the gun already on him and this incident occurred, then I think that's more reasonable to believe that she had no clue. From some things that I read, it said that he went to the car and got a gun and then came back and had an altercation. Again, I don't know how true that is. And I think that's the problem why I'm kind of confused. We don't have all the evidence. But what's the other issue in this situation? Santi, off-duty firefighter, right? What did he do? You guys, he got involved in a verbal altercation between two people. Nobody's life was in danger. You guys, I tell people all the time, this vigilante justice doesn't work. There was no reason for him to get involved in that way that he did. He should have peacefully walked away, called the police, and let them handle the situation. You guys, he died behind this situation. Was it worth it? Was there any other thing he could have done differently? People argue all the time. People curse each other out all the time. You know, that was obviously the worst decision he could have made. The absolute worst. It's unfortunate we live in a time now where you can't, chivalry's dead, right? People are killing it, right? You can't stand up for people the same way as you once could before. It could get you killed. Happens all the time. You know, which is why people don't speak up or say anything. You get women grabbed by the hair and drugged down the street. People are like, I don't want not getting involved. This is why. It can get you killed. And it's unfortunate. Now, let's look at this. There's a spin to this now. Javon's 23 years old. You guys, he got arrested that day. Why? Apparently, he's a convicted felon. He's not supposed to have a gun. You know, he was charged with, I think, armed robbery. He was charged and convicted of armed robbery in Kansas City. So he's a convicted felon. He's not supposed to have a gun, you guys. The feds locked him up and charged him federally for that. I'm going to tell you right now, you can do 10 to 15 easy for a felon being in possession of a firearm, especially depending on what your background looks like. 10 to 15, easy. Guess what? They're going to give him all that they can. I assure you. So this is a very interesting self-defense case. because she didn't know, right? Allegedly, she didn't know. What makes this self-defense, you guys? You have Missouri, Kansas has a law called stand your ground. We've heard this term before. You have a right to defend yourself. There's no duty to retreat. And you have the right to use force or deadly force against someone else if they are threatening the life of someone else, right? So if you're using lethal force to protect the life of another person, you have a right to do so. And in this case, she's protecting her boyfriend, her child's father, her kid's father, right? She's protecting him in the moment. You guys, what do they see? What is the prosecutor seeing? That she's making an honest effort to stop this individual from potentially, in her mind, believe that he is trying to take his life, right? Can they articulate that? Can they prove that? Absolutely. When does self-defense not apply? When you are the primary aggressor, right? Or when you are trying to defend yourself, then you leave, right? And then you come back, right? Then you come back. You come back with a gun. You can't use self-defense. You can't make a self-defense claim that way. Or if you're committing a crime, right? And then someone tries to stop you while you're committing that crime, you can't claim self-defense, you guys. So this is the thing. If you're not the primary aggressor, so who's the primary aggressor? You guys, one can argue that Santi got involved in something he should not have gotten involved into, right? He put himself in harm's way. He, what it seems like to me, provoked the situation. Who threw the first? I don't know. I don't know. What's the problem? The interesting the plot twist of this whole thing is that I believe Javon could also get charged with his murder. Possibly. I'm still curious to see if they are investigating the actual altercation between Santi and Javon to determine whether or not who was the primary aggressor, right? Because again, even if this thing started as a verbal, the question is, who started the physical? Who started the physical? Because it's still not clear and they haven't made it clear. Why do I say that? Okay, Javon's in there. He's arguing with the clerk. Okay, cool. No crime there. She asked him to leave. He refused to leave. He starts cursing her out. Okay, you have a crime there. It's trespass. That's between Javon and the business. Santi gets involved. How? He steps up. Hey, man, you need to leave. You need to leave. Leave her alone, whatever, right? He wants to put on a cape. That still doesn't say anything. What are we missing? We're missing who touched who first. Who prevented who from leaving? Who got in whose face? How did this whole thing spin out of control? Did he already have the gun on him? Or did he go to the car and get the gun? If he went to the car and got the gun and the girlfriend was there, I don't know if her argument's gonna stand. I'd be curious to see. Okay, your boyfriend came and got his gun out the car. You didn't ask him why or what he was doing with that. You sat here and just let him pull the gun out. Where were you when he pulled the gun out? You didn't think that was weird or suspicious? He didn't come to the car with an attitude? He didn't look upset? Or did he already have the gun on him? Because see, now if you go and get the gun after we already had a fight, right, verbal altercation, you leave, get a gun, and then come back, you guys, one could argue that might be a premeditated behavior. Or was he leaving to his car and then he was approached by Santi at the car and then he takes the gun and then addresses him? You guys, that changes everything, right? That makes Santi the aggressor, right? You came and violated my space. I don't have a duty to retreat, right? We had our little verbal here. Then you came over into my space, right, where my kids are, where my woman is. So I don't know. But because he's a convicted felon, you guys, they arrested him. So, right, with these felony charges, I assure you they're going to convict him on that. The feds are absolutely going to convict him on that because there's a loophole that Santi's death will be considered justified under self-defense. But the altercation between them two, I don't know if they finished investigating that piece. So that's still up to be determined. I'm curious, and I would absolutely, I can't wait to actually see the surveillance footage to really go back. So anyways, what do you guys think about that? That's kind of my my two pieces in regarding that, you guys. And what's the moral of the story? Man, walk away. Right? I say it all the time. The greatest self-defense is not fighting at all. Call the police, you guys. Stop trying to take matters in your own hands, especially if it's not life and death, right? It's not a life and death situation. Do not get involved. Get good descriptions, information, license plate. Call the police. Please, it's not worth it, right? It's not worth it. Egos and arguments and attitudes, all those things are not necessary, you guys. They are fighting over the brand cigar not being sold in the store. You know, it's sad. It's absolutely sad. And then, you know, you have a young man. He shouldn't have had that gun in the first place. I don't know. I see a little bit of wrong on both sides. You know, a little bit of wrong on both sides, you guys. It's just unfortunate that we have people today who just, they don't know any other ways of resolving conflict without any form of violence. And it's sad. It's absolutely sad. So anyways, you guys, let me know your thoughts on this. I'm curious. What do you think? What do you think? With that, good night. God bless.